show up, Mickey, because I literally had no idea what time I was going to do this today. People probably aren't even awake, buddy. Oh man, yeah, it's 6:30 here, so it's probably really late elsewhere. Hmm. Well, for anybody who's gonna watch the replay later, I hit 20K. I'm now over 20K, and I still can't believe it. I was kind of stunned into silence when it happened. So, um, I've been saying I need to do a video about this, and yeah, I've been like stressing out about it. Oh my gosh, this hoodie. It's so dirty. Hi, everybody. Oh, people are awake. Great. I mean, like, it's dark. It's so dark out right now, but it's only 6:30 on the West Coast, but I know people are across all kinds of time zones. So, let's see here. I'm just glancing. Hello to everybody. I'm doing this completely on my phone, so I don't have the convenience of a laptop, so try not to be annoyed by my finger. Thank you to everybody who's saying congrats. I really can't believe it. Like, I remember when I got 100 subscribers, and I thought that was going to be like the peak of my YouTube existence. I was like, oh my God, 100 people like subscribe to this channel. And the weird thing is, like, subscriber doesn't mean all the time watcher. And so YouTube, you're always in this weird place, but even still, like, it's like, even like views and engagement has been going up as well. I mean, it's nowhere near 20K every video. But even just to have that many people who are like, you know what, I'm going to subscribe and stay subscribed, and like all of that feels really, really good. So yeah, Mickey's being antisocial right now. After I forced him to do the thumbnail, he became very antisocial. Let's see if we can get him on camera. Let's see. Where is he? Mickey, say hi. He's like, my channel isn't at 20K. It's your channel. I'm reading comments right now. Okay, so for people who've seen the last couple videos I did today. Oh my God, Amanda, thank you for the super chat. Never necessary, but always appreciate it. All right, cool. So let's do some quick talking. So this weekend, I intended to put actually 2 videos out. I intended to put out a video which was my last days at the campsite I was at in California. It was called Camp Williams. I did film a video. I just did not have time to edit it. I signed up for this thing called the Fitness Summit. And so I've spent Friday, Saturday, and Sunday just attending this online virtual summit. And it was all about like health and fitness. You know, I got to ask a lot of questions about what's true and what's not true as far as like things people have said about what I need to do and don't need to do moving forward in my weight loss journey. I got to exit, you know, from a bunch of health professionals. It was just a really, really positive experience. So I've been spending the last 3 days doing that. Linda, thank you for the $5 super chat. Much appreciated. Mickey says thank you too, even though he's being antisocial. He's really mad I made him do that thumbnail. Sorry, I just want to focus. So that's what I've been doing the last 3 days. Like, I really got up early in the morning. I signed into the summit, and I was just there all day, like, absorbing information about health and fitness and nutrition. And I'm thinking about getting a coach. Not because anything is going wrong, but I just think, if I can do it, if I can make it happen, it'll just improve the journey moving forward. And I'll sort of have an expert to sort of bounce things off of as I continue. So I'm thinking about getting a coach. You guys don't really care about that. So I did leave the campsite that I was at. I left it a couple days ago, so I've been back in Berkeley. So I am back in Berkeley. I'm back in the city. I have a meeting. What is today? I don't even know what today's date is. I have meetings for my show coming up. And also, guys, I haven't talked about this because I was trying to understand all the details, but I will be doing one of the virtual presentations at the Women's RTR. So I'll put out some more information about that, but I'll be on a panel about women's safety on the road, and specifically addressing being a female nomad who spends a lot of time in the city as opposed to boondocking, even though I'm hoping that'll change in the future. So I'm going to be participating in WRTR as one of the presenters. So that's super exciting. So I'm doing the prep work for that. Sorry, my brain is scattering. So I'm doing the prep work for that. I'm getting ready to start my show, so that's coming up. And I spent this entire weekend at the summit, and I really did want to get out another video, but it's a health thing. I felt like prioritizing my health this weekend and getting information and sort of verifying what's true and what's not true about sort of the information out there as I move forward was really important to me. So I just kind of zoned in on that, and that's all I focused on the last 3 days. I did rescue my drone. Before I left the campsite, though, it did mean driving all the way into town, driving back up the mountain, because there is a little bit of a mountain road to get back to where I was. So I drove into town. I got a painter's pole. People who follow me on Instagram have seen sort of that journey, and then I came back. I only posted the video yesterday, but I actually filmed it a couple days ago. And then I came back and I poked at the tree until I got the drone to fall. So besides a few cracked props, it seems to be fine. And I have spare props. So I should be able to get the drone in the air again. I haven't flown it since I knocked it out the tree for a number of reasons. Not having time, I was trying to get, from where I was back to Berkeley just because I have work reasons to be here. And I'm gonna be honest, I'm kind of sad. Right now, I just want to be going out and boondocking. I know everybody is heading down to Arizona right now. I keep seeing posts about people in the van life community that are down in Arizona, and I am really absolutely positively jealous right now because I really, really wish I did not have job obligations keeping me in the city right now. Over the last couple of trips, even with the freezing cold in Nevada and the damage to my tent and everything that went wrong, I have fallen in love with not being in the city. And it has sort of solidified my goal to not be in the city as much as humanly possible. As soon as I get a gap where it's absolutely safe and, I can get to somewhere a reasonable distance for a few days, I don't want to be here. And it's not about California, because the last campsite I was at was in California and it was freaking awesome and relaxing. But that's what I want to explore. I still, honestly, when I really think about it, I have not seen that much of California. I've been in Berkeley, I've done some road tripping, but I always had somewhere to go. So I was kind of speeding through all this beautiful land and space that's in the West Coast in general, and definitely in California. So I'm really, really motivated to, in whatever windows I have, to really get out of the city. I'm kind of bored with this whole, daytime, nighttime spot where you have to, you go to your daytime spot, you kind of hang out there for the day, You go to your nighttime spot, you go to bed, you need to leave that spot by a certain time. Excuse me. And when you're working, like when I was in my very, very early, sorry, I'm missing a bunch of the comments, guys, because I just have things running through my head right now. In my very, very early, like, car life, minivan life, van life, it was like I had a job. So it was like, yeah, like I parked at night, went to bed. I mean, like, that's all there was. I ate dinner and then I went to bed. I got up in the morning, I drove to work, I parked for work, I went to work, I left work, it's nighttime then, I come back to the van, you know, make myself something to eat, and then I go to bed. And so it wasn't, I don't think, as frustrating then. Or there were days where I was just looking for, you know, work to fill in the gaps. And so there was a cycle there where there wasn't so much like I'm just stuck in the van hanging out. This weekend was fun because I was at the virtual summit, and that virtual summit was like so fun. I can't even tell you how fun that virtual summit was. I had so much fun during that virtual summit. But I would have had as much fun attending the virtual summit in a campground or on BLM land or on public land as I did like sitting in a parking lot in the city. In fact, it would have been easier because I woke up this morning and then it was like, okay, the summit's about to start in 10 minutes, but I need to move the van. So I was kind of listening while I moved the van, and then I parked. And then I, you know, kept participating in the summit online. And now probably once this is over, I'm going to be, you know, going to a spot where I can sleep all night, because where I am right now, I can't sleep all night. I'm good for many hours, and it's mostly empty in this parking lot now because the sun went down. And so most of the people leave around that time. But yeah, so that's a lot of me rambling about what's going on with me right now. I do have some videos I'm going to edit for this week. I did just do a whole like review of the campground that I was at. It was something I found on freecampsites.net. So I'm going to edit that video together. And I don't know what else is coming up really besides like WRTR. Yeah, so I just rambled. I'm going to check out some of you guys' comments. Sorry for anything I missed. Wow, that's a long name. So, The Adventures of Chester, Seymour, and Maxwell. Thank you for the $5. And I see the little Mickey, so yeah, that's going to be for Mickey. We're going to put that in the Mickey fund. Oh, that's another thing I want to talk about. So a lot of people have asked me about getting Mickey neutered. It has always been my intention to neuter Mickey and get him microchipped, neither of which has happened at this point. And it's not because like I don't want to do it or I'm delaying it. Because of COVID, like unless I want to pay like $600 or more at a private vet, Banfield I asked for, they didn't even want to give me an estimate. They were like, oh, we can't really say how much it's gonna cost. And I was like, can you just give me a ballpark idea of what it would cost if I went through you guys? Because that's where he got all his shots. He got all his shots at Banfield. He's all caught up on his shots and all that other stuff. And so the ballpark was, well, if this happens and blah, 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 it's going to be around like, the estimate was somewhere in the $600 range. So like with a private vet, and most of the private vets are coming out to this, it seems like it's going to cost $600 or more. If I go to a new vet, they're going to want to see him first before they even schedule a neutering appointment. So long story short, it would be really, really expensive. So of course everybody's like, well, go to the SPCA, go to the Humane Society. Well, the problem is there's this thing called the pandemic right now, and you can't just walk in. Like nobody is allowing you to walk in. And so you have to like call or send emails, which is weird when you're saying like, I live in, you know, wherever, and you contact somebody out of state. That's weird. That like people don't do that. It's like your home address is where, and why are you telling us you want to bring your cat all the way out here to get him neutered? Like it doesn't make sense to most people. And you know, if you say you live in a van, they have even more questions. But I'm not even getting human beings on the phone, so it's like I'm sending in a form that's already formatted where it's like, what's your address, and then I give my address, and then if it's really far away from the location, I'm sure like they're wondering. But long story short, I had a really, 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 really hard time finding anywhere, even through like, there's no mobile clinics because of COVID. Mobile clinics aren't active. So it is not because I am waiting to neuter him. I literally could not get an appointment for him before May, and it's in San Rafael. So it's not even near me. The only appointment I was able to get at a reasonable price is in San Rafael in May. So it's looking like he will not be neutered or microchipped before May. He's around 6 months old now. So yeah, he'll be knocking on a year before, unfortunately, there's even an available place to get him I don't like the term fixed, to get him neutered and microchipped. So I'm trying, and I've even done some more investigating to see if anybody could take him sooner. I have forms and emails and inquiries out there, but at the moment, this camera's having trouble focusing, so I'm sorry if anything goes out of focus. But at the moment, I cannot get him a neutering appointment anytime sooner. For all the people who hate cats and don't like Mickey news, I'm sorry, I just went off about Mickey for a while. But it's been coming up a lot. Like, people are always asking me, and I'm like, I am trying to avoid spending $600, $700, $800 on a neutering when I know the SPCA and humane societies will do it cheaper, but I still have to get in the door, and that's just not easy right now. So I'm struggling a little bit with that, and just kind of trying to live with the situation. So COVID's making it very complicated. All right, I meant to just scroll through the comments a little bit, and then I went on that Mickey rant. But I was like, what's the other thing I wanted to talk about with everybody? And it was Mickey. I don't want to do this with my hand because like then I'm making weird stuff on the camera. To everybody who's saying hello to Mickey, I'm sure he would say hello back if he went to sleep. Actually, he's sleeping. He's like, I don't know what you're doing, but I'm going to bed. So I saw that. I answered if I was still in the desert. I am not in the desert. I'm not on a mountaintop. I am back in Berkeley, CA. I don't know if that's a bad thing to say. Hopefully I won't get targeted again. Bolcher C says Mickey looks exactly like a cat I had named Willie. We had him for 17 years. Aw, I hope I have Mickey for many, many, many years, 17 and more. Hot Rod PC66, that is quite the username, says, I want to hear about the drone. Tell us how you got it down. I mean, really, it wasn't that complicated. I went to Ace Hardware, which was the closest hardware store. The closest place to where I was King City, CA. So I went to King City, went to the Ace Hardware. I got a painter's pole, and it still was not long enough. And then I got on the ladder and used the painter's pole, and it still was not long enough. And then I took my selfie stick and taped and tied it around the end of the painter's pole just to get a little bit more feet, and I was barely able to touch the drone and knock it out of the tree. People seem to have the impression that drone was like way closer to the ground than it actually was. I actually had another pole in the van, and that one was too short, so I tried to use that pole. I tried taping stuff together I already had before I went and got this painter's pole, and I kept the painter's pole because I was like, it's a long pole, so if this ever gets caught in a tree again, I at least have some sort of tool I can work with. But that was basically it. I mean, like, I just kept trying to figure out how to make things longer and longer until I could poke it out of that tree. And the way the tree was situated, it was kind of bent like this. And the branches obviously got weaker as you got out here. So it wasn't even really something you could climb reasonably. I'm sure Mickey could climb it, but he wasn't going to get it down for me. And so like there was definite danger in trying to like climb that tree. So that was not an option. I was not going to climb the tree. And I wouldn't have felt safe anybody else climbing it. I was not right by a city. It's a like kind of windy mountain road, so there was no like quickly calling like anybody with like a truck with a ladder. And honestly, the day it happened was when I got to the campsite on New Year's Eve. Honestly, by January 2nd, people were just leaving. So there wasn't really a lot of like neighbors where I could go, hey, so, and I think the last couple days I was there, I was pretty much there by myself. Like there was nobody else there. So it was like, there wasn't like, hey, can you come out, help me with this? Like, even like if a guy was a little bit taller, it would have like, added some inches just because he would have been taller trying to poke sort of the same pole. But it's because of you guys I didn't like give up though, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna go back and fight for this drone. And I went back and I fought for the drone and won. So I do thank everybody who was like, don't give up on it, do this, do that. And even the suggestions that I could not use, like I was not gonna hit it with a rock. I can barely throw when something's like just in front of me. And yeah, I'm not that good. And this camera on this phone just wants to unfocus a lot. I don't know if that correctly portrays the story of the drone, but I do thank you guys for the inspiration, because I tried and tried and tried and I was ready to give up. And I was like, I'm going to try to find a way to get something long enough, because it wasn't like it flew off the side of the mountain. It was in a tree and I could see it. And it was you guys who motivated me to like fight for the drone. Ziggy, I'm glad you caught me too. I'm obviously delayed because I'm now scrolling through the comments. People still asking about the drone. Hopefully everybody heard the update on the drone. Bo Joe and Monday says, I would like to hear more about your non-weight journey. The hard part about that is like, it's such a part of my everyday. Like it's when I get up in the morning, it's like, how am I going to fit this in? If I go to a campsite, I am thinking about, sort of it not getting in the way of my journey. Like, if I have to prioritize a choice based on, it'll be difficult to exercise while I'm out here versus another choice that would make it easier, I would choose the choice more conducive to exercise before I would choose the aesthetic choice, if that makes any sense. And I guess the thing with me is I don't see it as a separate thing. Like, my channel, and I'm not saying this is a criticism, I do want to, like, because I've realized what this channel is focused on is more like the day-to-day life and experience and living. But also it's just about what I'm, focused on at the moment, and like improving my health and fitness while living in a van is such a unique event. Like, it's really hard, but it's like, I don't know how to explain it. Like, I see it's so interconnected. Trying to find a way to like break it apart in a way where people who aren't interested aren't feeling overloaded by that content is just difficult. Because for me, it's like, this is a critical part of my van life. In fact, the point of van life was to get the freedom to do the things I want to do, to prioritize the things that make me feel good. And one of the things that makes me feel good is health, nutrition, fitness, and exercise. And so finding a way to make that in perspective is hard without, because at the end of the day, like, this is a channel that got popularized in van life. I mean, the title of it is The Dawn of Van Life, and people have very particular ideas about what kind of content they're looking for from a channel with a name like that. And some people feel like the health, fitness, wellness stuff is a distraction. And other people have embraced it. And I personally, in the way it's hard because I'm so passionate about it right now, do not talk about it all the time, but I realize there's a lot of the audience that just doesn't care, or, they'd rather see drone shots of, mountaintops. They hear me talk about how much weight I'm lifting this week. So it's a tricky balance, yeah. I don't know. So yeah, I'm trying to find the balance so it doesn't feel so off, sort of a subject for other people. So yeah. Kelly B says, I'm glad to hear that you'll be a part of the WRTR. I'm going to put out some more information about it eventually. They did... It's been kind of crazy because I feel like January came and there was like all of a sudden all this stuff, some stuff that unfortunately got swept under the bridge because other stuff took a priority. So that's funny. Hi Dawn, I will try to watch the women's RTR presentation you do. Thank you. I'm a little nervous about it. Hopefully this focus issue isn't annoying on your end. Like, I keep seeing myself go out of focus, so let me know if it's annoying on you guys' end. Sorry, I lost the comment. There it is. Do you know if it's going to be a recorded video? As I understand it, yes. Like, and I think it's going to be on the Hawa channel, not Bob Wells's channel. And again, when I get more information, I'll definitely put it out there. But as I understand it, it will initially be sort of a live event. And so it'll be happening live. And then just like lives on other channels, after that, the replay should be available for people to just like watch who weren't like at the event. By the way, this is actually a good time to pick you guys' brains. Like, as far as like women's safety living in a van and women's safety, and yes, I'm going to target women, but honestly, men can bring up stuff too. Like, what are your concerns? Like, sort of like, if you got the chance to sit down and talk with me, please throw some information at me, because I know what I feel, but I don't know what other people sort of are having as thoughts in their head as they think about bridging off into van life, or even people who are in van life who are like, make sure you hit this. Any help with like subject matter that you would like to hear, rather you can be at the event or not, would be helpful. So if you guys want to throw those down in the comments, I would love to hear about it. I'd be excited to hear about it. Because yeah, I can only go from my concerns, and it might be I just haven't thought about that as a safety thing. Like, one of the things I realized was a safety thing was vehicle maintenance, because the biggest danger, obviously, as soon as you start going off of main roads, is your vehicle, or even if you're on main roads, is your vehicle breaking down. And so, like, vehicle maintenance keeps you ahead of that process. I've often said, as long as the engine's running and me and Mickey are in the car, like, that is my biggest security and safety. Like, I sleep with my keys, like, right by my head. So if something does happen and I need to jump in the front seat, I can. But it'd be interesting to hear, but jumping in the front seat and turning the key won't matter if your engine like dies on you. So vehicle maintenance is important. And I would even say, if you have a choice between keeping your vehicle maintained and upgrading your power system, and you're tight on money, keep the vehicle maintained. You can always upgrade your power system later, but if that engine doesn't turn over, you're in trouble. I need to grab something. Ugh. All right. Whew, sorry. There we go. I'm scrolling. Amanda Sinclair says, anybody with a drone, please put a return reward address on it, so if anyone finds it, they can return it. That is a good idea. it's like putting a tag on like your cat or dog so that if it gets lost, at least a well-intentioned person can try to return it. So yeah. Dante says, what show? I am a stage manager. The name of the show is Binding Ties, and it'll be happening in Oakland. It'll be a small theater company, so it's not like a big thing. It's not like a Broadway event or anything. I don't have dates or anything. Bojo says, Bojo, I'm just making up stuff. Bojo and Monday says, I'm so glad to hear about the drone. So does Hot Rod PC60. I'm just call you Hot Rod. Ruby says, oh good you got the drone. I just told Chrome you lost it. Yeah, it's been rescued since then. To everyone who's glad I got the drone, thank you so much. Thank you guys for like encouraging me to fight for it. Because I thought I just had to give up on it. Like, it just didn't seem safe to keep trying to get to it. And then, like, you know, I just kept thinking until I said, okay, I'm going to try this last thing. Amanda Sinclair says, fresh air is addictive and so is silence and birds and chirping and leaves rustling. Yes, it is. Yes, thank you, Zora, for catching Amanda up. Dante says, do you ever work on your van? What do you mean by working on my van? I mean, like, I feel like I'm always working on my van in some way. As far as, like, actual mechanical work, I am not a mechanic. If I watch a video on something and I am not confident and I can do it, I would honestly rather pay a mechanic to do it and know the vehicle's gonna run than try to do something I don't think I'm capable of. So if you're talking about going like into the engine and doing stuff like that, I probably avoid that as much as humanly possible. It worries me. Like, if I mess up something in here, it's not the end of the world. The vehicle will still run. I don't want to go under the hood and possibly damage my home. So I will admit, I'm a little scared of that. It's different. Here's my perspective. When your vehicle is not your home, I mean your home to a critical level. If you're tinkering out with it out in the garage, or if it breaks down, you know, you can just, you know, move in, you know, a friend's house for a while, or mom and dad, or cousin, or brother, or sister, or even you own property, it's not that big a deal to tinker with the vehicle because it's not the end of the world. But when there's something I don't feel comfortable with, it's the same to me as the electrical system in somebody's house or the plumbing in somebody's house. And even if you understand the concept of it, like, most people are not going to do their own roofing work on their house. Most people are not going to touch the electricity in their house. Most people, even if they might do it in a van, they're not going to do it in their house. So with the things that mechanically make the car run, if I am not 100% confident I understand what I'm doing, I am not tinkering. As far as like working on the van in other ways, such as my solar system, such as modifying things in the van, like I wired all these lights, yeah, I'll do that stuff. So I'm not sure what you mean by working on the van. I've done videos where I was doing improvements to the van or adding stuff to the van, or even my old van. Like, I revised the minivan like 3 or 4 times as far as the internals. So I've done plenty of videos where I was working on my van. But if you're talking about mechanical stuff, like under the hood, I don't do a lot of that. And I need to be like 100% confident. Like, I fixed the sunroof in my minivan that I was living in when it broke. But I watched a video on it and I was like, yes, I can handle this. I feel safe that I can handle this. I feel confident I can handle this. I'm not going to pay somebody else to do it, especially because the cost was extravagant. Recently, my side view mirror got knocked off by a passing car. At least that's what I think happened. And I fixed that. So as far as like little things like that, yes. As far as other things, no. I kind of avoid those if I can. I'd rather somebody who is more experienced do that. Now, I don't mind learning and watching them do it, but if I'm not confident, I don't tinker. So that's my complicated answer there. Laura says, Dawn, I got a Ram ProMaster and can't wait to get it back to hit the road. That is awesome. I hope you love your van. Elsie says the only thing great about this pandemic is all these virtual events that we can now attend. I think this will be the new norm. Elsie, I agree, but I hope not. Because one of the things I regretted at the end of my virtual summit, my virtual fitness and nutrition summit, is that I really wanted to meet these guys in person. Like, by the end of it, like, we had like a virtual, what do you call it? A virtual, happy hour. It was called a virtual happy hour. Nobody was drinking. And we were just like talking, sort of, because you could only see the presenters. We couldn't be seen. We were just in the chat. And it was just like, if this had been like a live event where we were all there, I really would have enjoyed, after all these sessions where we got to know each other, and we still got to kind of know each other online. There's some people I've connected with in health and fitness now via Instagram. It would have been nice to like have that sort of in-person chill time, because you come there really serious, like, I'm here to learn things and go to sessions, and in the middle of that you become people. It's not just, oh, I'm talking to this expert. It's like I'm talking to a human who's interesting and has said things that I relate to. And I would love just to have more of a conversation, and that is sometimes hard online. Luckily with social media, I've been able to like connect with some of them through Instagram and stuff. But it was like, that part's a little bit more difficult. So I hope like to go to real summits where we're actually in the same room together and we're in the same time zone, and people aren't trying to figure out, okay, so if this starts at like 4:00 and that's Eastern time and I'm on Pacific time, like what time is that and when does this end? That part was less fun. So yeah, so I'm glad like we exist in an era where those substitutes for communication exist. But I am looking, which is weird because I'm a loner and half the time I don't want to be alone, but I do like going to events like these and sort of having a framework for connecting with people. I don't know if that makes sense. Like RTR was good and WRTR when I went, because the framework for connecting with people was Vanlife. So it wasn't random. We knew we were all there for a certain bit of information, but from that you get to branch off and you just get to know people. And sort of the same thing happened at this health and fitness summit. Like, we were there to get educated. They were there to share information with us as novices or people starting journeys or people in the middle of journeys. And by the end of it, it was like, I like these people. I wish we were hanging out in the room together for real. All right, I've just gone off tangent again. I talk too much, guys. Why do you people listen to me just randomly talk? Let me see. You and Mickey are just the best. Love your videos. Thank you, Doris. Stone X, how's your battery issue? That's the other thing I wanted to talk about. So the battery, I think the AGM battery might have been taken too low too many times. It's still having a hard time maintaining a charge once the sun goes down. I did take the fridge pretty much permanently off of it, and the fridge is pretty much running off my Jackery exclusively. And I have been doing really good with power, honestly, over the last couple of days. I've been able to maintain enough charge in my AGM batteries to pretty much like run the lights or run the fan if I need to. But that's all it's doing. And the Jackery is pretty much running the fridge. And I've been able to sort of set things up so that the Jackery and the batteries are getting a charge, and the batteries are hooked back up to roof panels, the house battery, not the Jackery, is hooked back up to the roof panels, and it will get up to 100% during the day. But once the sun is gone, it's just like, all right, 12 point. Actually, last night wasn't too bad. It maintained at 12.6 with me just using lights last night. So I think like I need to get a new battery. But I've been doing pretty decent on power the last couple of days. I also think I'm getting better sunlight in Berkeley than I was where I was parked, and I think it's just because it was a lot of trees at the campsite. So I still am interested in a generator. And I know all the I hate generator noise people are ashamed. It's like, no, just clean sun power. But there's a lot of situations where the sun just does not work out. And so if you don't have the sun, it's nice to have a generator. So a generator is my plan. I am planning to make a generator work. I'll figure out how to store it, how to carry it, and all that. But my plan is to have a generator, because even if I replace the battery, it'll always be nice to have a generator, because all you need to run the generator is gas. So if everything else, isn't working out, or you're in a really shady campsite, or like it's like overcast a lot, the generator will charge everything up and you'll be able to get through a day. And I just think it's a worthy thing to have, even as a backup item, not a use it every day item. Deidre says, free camp, is there a bunch of campsites on there? Freecampsites.net, yes, has campsites. And lots of campsites. But here's the thing I always tell people when it comes to camping, or finding free land or finding public land, is that sometimes you get lucky and it's not that hard to get into town and all of the other stuff. But a lot of times, like, you have to be willing to really go out. And the more willing you are to kind of the further you get away from civilization, the easier it is to find public land. There are a lot of cheap campsites out there, and there is an app called The Dirt, and I've never gone to a campsite via The Dirt, but I did check out the app. Like I said, I haven't tested it in action, but The Dirt, it's DYRT, I think. They have a bunch of cheap campsites, so things that don't cost a lot of money. So that's another option. iOverlander is also a really good app. I personally, with iOverlander, I find iOverlander really, really good for I'm in a strange city and I need a place to sleep for the night. I personally have not found a lot of I'm going to camp here for days campsites via iOverlander. And I tend to find those in freecampsites.net, but it's a thing like where I sit down and I dedicate time to reading the reviews of people who have been there. Now, the other thing I like about freecampsites.net is sometimes it just helps me find an area where BLM or public or whatever land is. It doesn't mean I'm going to go to the exact campsite on the, in the app. And the thing about anything that's on an app is it's publicly available to everyone. So the likelihood of some people have abused it, and especially with just stuff on iOverlander, that people have abused it, and you'll get there and suddenly like there's no parking or like no camping overnight. I got kicked out of a Walmart that I found on iOverlander. Now, mind you, I didn't get kicked out of 4 other Walmarts that I found on iOverlander, and this is when I was crossing the country to the East Coast. For the most part, it was great. Like 9 times out of 10, no problems. But 1 time out of 10, you may go, okay, like there's I'm just using Walmart as an example because Walmart's so hit or miss. It's like, oh, there's a Walmart, in this state. And this person has given there's been 3 reviews where people said it was fine. and you go there, and it turns out you happen to get there at the point where somebody messed it up. Somebody decided like to be an idiot, and now they're like, okay, we can. At first we were just kind of turning a blind eye, and now we can't anymore. So iOverlander and freecampsites.net are great, but I personally am trying to invest time in other options. In knowing how to find my public lands. So that's something I would like to explore in the future. So yes, there's a lot, but there's a lot across the country. And I don't know how to phrase this. So it may be, I say, yes, there's a lot, and then you go looking in a state that you're targeting and you don't feel like there's a lot, or you feel like you don't like the options. It's freecampsites.net has been around since before I was living in a van. I say that like I've been doing it a long time. It's only been a little bit over 2 years. And so like, so many users have contributed to that site, but it's like Wikipedia. It's user contributed. So it's not like these are professionally vetted sites. It's people who went there and added it to freecampsites.net. So yeah, I don't know if that answers the question. That's my ramble on it. But I personally, as far as like getting started when I'm looking for a place to go, especially some place to be for a long time, I tend to use freecampsites.net. When I'm just passing through an area, I like to use iOverlander. That's iOverlander. So yeah. Speaking of for work reasons to be back in Berkeley, did you get the job? What is the job? It's a stage management job. It was never really a question of if I was going to get it. Like I was pretty much, it wasn't like coming for an interview. It's like, are you interested? If you say yes, you're hired. So it wasn't like there was ever me not getting the job. It was literally me accepting or rejecting the contract. Because that's more what it is. It isn't like I'm going to be going to work 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, you know, for a certain period. It's not that at all. It is a contract for a show in theater. So it's like, these are the dates of your obligation. Here are the meetings you have to attend. Here is the schedule for the tech in this case, because there's no rehearsals. So during the tech, we're just prepping the show, and these are the dates of the show. Can you commit to these exact dates for this exact fee? And that's kind of how stage management jobs work. Now, as you start to get up into the more money that's involved, for lack of a better term, like Broadway or Lort theaters, of which this is not, you have something that's a little bit closer to, for lack of a better term, a normal job. But in this case, it is a contract, and it's like, we will pay you this fee if you can commit to these dates and these meetings and this tech process. And then you say yes, you put those dates in your calendar, you show up for the dates, and you do the work necessary to get the show up and keep the show running until it closes. So it's not like, oh, I'm going to go into the office and then I do this job for 8 hours and then I leave and then, you know, I fill out a timesheet and I get paid. No, there's a flat fee. It's like, this is the fee. Are you cool with the fee? These are the dates. Are you cool with the dates? Yes, sign this contract. Deal done. Dante says that cat is going to pee in the van and run you out. I honestly doubt that. So yeah, I mean, like, I can't do it. I have done everything I can do. So all I can do is, if it does happen, is be aware and clean up after it. But there's nothing I can do about it. I'm not going to kick him out the van because I can't get him neutered, and I can't make the neutering happen any faster than it's going to happen. Now, maybe if, you know, the vaccine comes and some of the restrictions lift and there start being places where you can walk in again in the next couple of months that are near me. I have a job, so I can't go like halfway across. If you're like, oh, come to Florida, I don't know if Florida has SPCAs with walk-in opportunities, but I can't go to Florida. I don't have enough time to drive all the way to Florida to get a neutering. So if I have to deal with things in my area, I gotta wait till May. There's no appointments. There's nobody I can talk to on the phone. And I am not so worried about it that, you know, I feel like I need to start a GoFundMe to go to a private vet any earlier than that. So all I can do is go with the flow. I mean, if you get a pet, you know, all you can do is the pet best you can. So yeah, I really doubt I'm gonna run out of the van. Oh shoot, all kinds of stuff is happening. It looks like there's stuff coming up. Our regular vet gave us an estimate to $500 to $800 depending on what happens. It's crazy expensive. Yep, see, like regular private vets are super expensive, and it's for like crazy stuff. Chiva said, do they have mobile vet clinics where you're at? Not because of COVID. They aren't active now because of COVID. So yes, when COVID's over, they'll start doing it again. But right now, because of COVID, no mobile clinics. So yeah. Miss Mecca says 600. I paid 50. Geesh. I'm sure if you paid 50, you went to like an SPCA or a Humane Society. Private vets, they're going to charge you. It's like the hospital. So when you go to the hospital, you know, it's not just the medical care. It's the fact you're taking up a bed. It's whatever machines they can charge you for. It's the medication. Like, there's all these things. Like, private vets or private vet companies are running up the bill for everything, you know? So yeah, it's part of the game, you know? Ziggy! I'm adding an I there, even though your name does not have an I in it. But thank you for the $4.99 in, is that euros or pounds? I don't know what that symbol is. I feel so ignorant. What is that symbol? Check out the low-cost spay and neuter in Kingman, Arizona. Pretty cheap there. Do you know if they have any COVID restrictions? And also, Arizona is still pretty far away. Like, I don't know that I could get to Arizona right now. Like, I don't know that I have that window of space to go all the way to Arizona. Arizona's kind of far away from me for what I'm obligated to right now, as far as upcoming dates and stuff. Amanda says, that's shocking to have to pay so much for something necessary to Mickey's well-being and your sanity. Kelly B says, our Humane Society, we had to call, and if we got somebody on the phone, they were booked up for months. Exactly. I had to beg to get on the calendar in San Rafael. I can't even get anybody on the phone in Oakland or Berkeley. So yeah. Laura Kramer, thank you for the $5 super chat. Sorry I'm not catching these sooner. But it says contribution for Mickey's gem recall. That gave me a laugh. Mira says somebody in rescue could call in a favor. Somebody in rescue tried to help me out, and that's how I got my May appointment. I had no appointments before that. So far, nobody in rescue helping any sooner. You know. Susan says, I love cats and dogs and birds and more. I'm with you, Susan Spring. Becky says, I had to drive to Delaware during the lockdown to get my dog orthopedic surgery due to a torn ACL because the restrictions in DC prevented what they called elective surgery and my dog could not walk. Oh my God, Becky, that sucks. Ugh. Like, that's not elective. Your dog can't walk, you know? Moon Milkman says, tell the vet you're on a road trip and that's why you're from out of state. I don't think you understand. There is no telling anybody anything because I'm looking at places that aren't going to charge $1 billion. So I'm looking at SPCAs and Humane Societies. I'm not talking to people. I'm just entering a California address on a form that's already formatted. So there's no, these are my special circumstances. You know, like getting people on the phone is impossible. My friend spent $1,500 on spaying for 2 cats. So pricey, exactly. Carolyn says, congratulations on 20K. Thank you. There has to be an organization near you that does free spay neuter programs once in a while. The problem isn't the existence of the program. The problem is you cannot walk in. Like, there's no places where you can walk in. There's plenty of programs. They're all booked up for months. So yeah, like you either can't get anybody on the phone, you have to fill out a form online, or you have to like send random emails and hope somebody gets back to you. And they're just booked. It's not their existence. It's like you have to wait in line, and my line, where I am in line, is May. You know? And it's definitely not considered an emergency. Like, he's not bleeding from the gut. He's just getting fixed. You know, I hate that word. Can you talk about your weights, please? Bijo and Mundy X. I don't know what to say about them. They're Bowflex Selecttech weights, so they're the kind that you can adjust the weight on the side. They go from about 5 pounds to 52 point something pounds. So it's about 5 to 50 pounds that you can do with that one set of dumbbells, which takes up much less space than having like a whole bunch of them. Each county has a catch and release spay and neuter programs. Catch and release are for people who are like, you know, grabbing feral cats, and that's about like something that's like a risk to the neighborhood. It's a whole thing. Rhonda, I have Googled SPCA and low-cost spay neuter programs. They still want you to wait in line. That's the problem. They're all booked up. And since it's not a like in-person thing, there's all these regulations. I mean, they have to answer to the state, and the state's protocols. So they can't have they can't just have open lobbies with people walking in. They can still provide the program, but everything is like, leave a message, send an email, fill out a form. Donna says, where does your friend live that she had to pay $15,000 for spaying 2 cats? I just told you it was going to cost about $800 just for Mickey at a private vet. That is about normal if you're going through a private vet or a private vet organization. It's way cheaper to do SPCA and the Humane Society, and that is probably why they're so backed up. Sarah says, my cat was neutered for free because I used the Humane Society. CJ is stoked I got my drone back. Amanda says, I wish I had the money to pay for getting Mickey neutered and chipped. My cat only had 1 testicle and the vet missed it. Wow. And he got a fright and sprayed and the smell never went away. Wow. Ooh. Candy says, I keep buffering. Like, my connection says I'm okay. I'm sorry. You sure that's just not the camera focus? For some reason, the camera keeps refocusing. Kelly says, yay, way to fight for it. You won. I know you're talking about the drone. Thank you. I think I answered some of this stuff. I talked about my new job. Princess says it is over at Instagram watching. Yeah, I do have a drone video or the rescue of the drone on my Instagram. It was just easier to shoot it that way. So yeah, the video is on Instagram. Bill says, Dawn, you're killing it. My wife and I love the channel. You're doing great, girl. Thank you so much, Bill. Elizabeth said, my friend had his small drone get stuck high in a neighbor's tree, taunting us for several days until I used a tape until I used tape for 2 long brooms to add length, finally getting the drone out of that tree. It does feel like a tease. Like if you have a flyaway, and sometimes the drone gets disconnected and it will just fly away. It's usually user error, but that would hurt. But also you can't see it. When it's in a tree, but it's just super high, it is a tease. It's like, you're right there and I can't touch you. So yeah. Lynn says she likes my tent gym idea. I love that tent. Like, I love it for, like, an office. I love it for an outside space. Like, that's what I hate about being in the city right now, is that I don't have my tent out, because I love that. And I never, ever thought I would be a tent person. Like, I didn't see the point. Like, what do I need a tent for? That's so stupid. And if I was leaving a campsite for a while, even if I left it empty, a tent at least makes it look claimed. And because it's an Ozark Trail tent, like, it would, you know, it's a Walmart tent. It's relatively easy to replace. So I feel like I'm gonna get so much value out of that tent. Like, I love that tent. Just for hanging out in, getting up in the morning, you know, it was great. I freaking love that tent. R.D. Franklin says, mix the personal life and the van life. I think that's in response to something I said earlier. I feel like I do. And, you know, you live your life, and something that wasn't super important suddenly becomes, like, super important, and, like, you want to share it, but then you realize none of your friends want to hear about it. That's why I always call you guys my friends. It's like, hey, friends! And you realize your friend just isn't as passionate about it as you are, and to you, it's just your life. And that's the hard part. Like for you, it's just your life. And for other people, it's like, God, when she get so into this, like, I don't care. I don't care about Star Wars. And you're still ranting about how bad The Rise of Skywalker was. I went nerdy there for a second. There was like 2 weeks after the Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker came out that all I could do was talk about how bad it was and how much I hated that trilogy. So bad. Mike says, what is WRTR? WRTR is the women's RTR. There's also an event called RTR, the Rubber Tramp Rendezvous. It's a gathering in the desert for nomads and van dwellers and RV dwellers, which could be the same thing or different things, where everybody just gets together, shares information. It used to be a less formalized event. It was the first one, I don't know how many years ago it was much less formal, but it's become a more formalized event. A lot of times, there's two types of people that kind of go to RTR and WRTR. There's the newbies who want to learn, and there's the old hats who just want to connect. And the newbies want to learn and have some social aspect, but they're more interested in, like, all the stuff they don't know. And then other people, like, they're like, I've been doing this 10 years. I just come out here to, like, meet other people. So it's pretty it's just like a big gathering in the desert. Because it's become more of an official event, they're doing it virtual this year, but a bunch of people are still down in Arizona right now, sort of having, like, that group social dynamic going. Sarah Owen says, on the Hawa channel and CRVL. So for anybody who doesn't know what Hawa is, the Homes on Wheels Alliance, I just want to say this for people who maybe, there are people in van life and RV life who have never heard of Bob Wells. I'm shocked too, because I used to say his name like everybody knows, but I've discovered there are people who don't know who he is. So CRVL is Cheap RV Living, which has a website as well as a YouTube channel, and Hawa is the Homes on Wheels Alliance, which is a non-profit that Bob Wells of Cheap RV Living started. So for anybody who doesn't know what those abbreviations mean, I just wanted to to say that out loud. Veronica says, I think staying fit while living in a van is 100% a valid part of van life. Thank you so much. And I gained so much weight when I started living in the van. Like, I looked at my first video on this channel and my face is like so slim. I think I was actually smaller than I am now by about 10 pounds. And I think it was just like, yes, you're in something you can't stand up in. So you really, like, even if you have like the standable van, here's the thing about a van. There's nowhere to go when you're in it. Like, if you have a bus, that's a little bit different. They are a little bit bigger. But there's really nowhere to go. Like, if you're in a 2-story house, when you get out of bed in the morning, you have to, like, most people, like, let's say your general 2.5-story house. Like, you get out of bed, you have to walk downstairs to your kitchen normally. Even if you're in an apartment, you still have to get out of bed and you at least have to walk some distance to sort of get to your kitchen or get to your bathroom or whatever you do in the morning. And I noticed this when I temporarily had an apartment in Oregon. And the thing about, like, me, in the morning, I'm in bed, right? Hi, Mickey. And I get up and I turn this way because I heat up my water on the stove right over here. And that's what I use to wash up in the morning. And, you know, breakfast is either like right here where my stove is, you know, in this direction, or slightly more over, there's my fridge, and over here is my food storage. So it's like, to get up in the morning and do like just my daily tasks, I never actually stood up. I just like got up in the bed. And I was doing city van life. So the big thing about stealth is you don't want to be like opening your doors super early in the morning and like you're kind of being quiet for a while. You're waiting for the sun to come up. You're trying to blend in with like sort of the flow of life of the city. And depending on your situation, it can be really easy to spend a lot of the day, you know, unless you have a job, not actually moving. And very early in my van life, before I really kind of figured things out, it was like I was buying a lot of fast food because it was so hard to cook in a space that was so different, especially when I was in the minivan, because I did not have a permanent countertop set up. You know, there was all this fear about using a camp stove indoors because technically you're not supposed to. Indoors in the van, even though everybody in van life just cracks a window and does it. And so there was this whole learning experience about how even to create food under this new situation. And so, yeah, it was really easy to just rely on buying cheap food for a number of reasons. And I didn't have a fridge for the better part of the first year. So I gained a lot of weight, and you can gain weight pretty easily on cheap food. And I don't actually know when I got to be over 300 pounds, and I am so happy that I am under 300 pounds by a bit now. I'm like in the 270s. And that makes me happy because it's like, if I had done nothing, who knows how big I'd be. And it doesn't, like, I get this comment all the time, and I know it's meant in love, but it's kind of frustrating. And it's like, you're beautiful even if you don't lose weight. I love the comment. I understand that it's meant in love, but it's sort of irrelevant to the reason I'm making the choice to lose weight. It's so I don't feel as tight in my driver's seat. It's so that I can continue to move well. It's so that I actually have the health and the fitness to enjoy the things that van life lets me access. Okay, I didn't mean for that to turn into a rant. And to me, that's how it's interconnected. For me to really be able to do the things I want to do, to really explore the things van life will allow me to access, it's better if I can improve my health as much as possible. And size does get in the way, and people can have their feelings about it, you know, however they want. Like, I don't like overthinking how I fit in a seat. You know, I don't like, you know, seeing a chair and wondering if it can support my weight. And so rather I'm beautiful or not, is sort of irrelevant to sort of those decisions. Didn't mean for that to turn into a rant. Melissa says, I adore the realness in you. Oh, wow. We've been on for over an hour. What time is it? Okay, I'm good. I was like, do I have to worry about moving? I went so much to van life and I learned so much from your videos. I'm 58 and have weight that I too have struggled with and worry that it will interfere with van life. Well, Melissa, don't let it stop you from starting van life. I don't know what your weight is, as far as like struggling with it, but just know while I'm trying to, improve my life in a way that I think it'll improve it, being bigger, I was still able to enjoy so many things. So don't let it stop. All of us, whether it's weight or like I have kids or I have this obligation or whatever, there are a million reasons not to pull the trigger. If you really want to do it, do it. And you can work on the other stuff along the way. Like some people, I've seen stories of couples where the wife wants to travel and the husband doesn't, or the husband wants to travel and the wife doesn't. And so, instead of like doing full time, they get the van, build it out, and like a couple months a year, the husband or wife or whoever's interested in travel, they take the van and go out on their own and they come back. And so nobody's sacrificing, what they actually want, rather that's security and stillness or, exploring. So you can work on yourself in van life. So just like, I hope you don't feel like I need to wait until, unless there's a really logical reason, like if you have like a sick mother or father or a child where you don't want to rip them out of their school. I mean, some people still take their kids on the road with them, but if you have those reasons, like, I get it. But also ask yourself, how can I still have this, even if it's part-time? I think like part-timers get way too much flack for being part-timers. Yeah, that's my rant on that. Like don't let it stop you. Just work on everything at the same time. Georgia Peach, thank you for the $19.99 super chat. Thank you so much. Sarah says, I would emphasize trusting your instincts as a safety precaution. I agree with that. I think that's in reference to, like, if anybody has any thoughts on, like, safety and things they either are worried about or are thinking about as far as like van life, definitely drop it in the comments. Grumpy Old Man 1254, I like that name. I wish they had more channels on YouTube for bigger people like me. Yeah, I mean, like, I let's be honest, like in the I'm talking about the high rollers. I'm talking about the people in like the 100K, category and like pushing that really high number on YouTube. I will say they all kind of fall in the same body type. But I don't think like there's much we can do about that, except as people who are bigger, not being afraid to embrace starting a channel. I mean, I've seen some plus size YouTubers who are doing pretty decent now. Both of them are women. And I was happy to see that, because I think like the conversation about diversity, as far as, I'm just going to be real right here, the conversation about diversity as far as like skin color, I think is really loud right now, and that is a good thing. But I still think there is a favoritism to a certain body type. Like right now, honestly, it's really cool to be like into diversity and stuff. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I think that's great. Like that we're intentionally saying we're looking, to know that this is for everybody. But sometimes we so zone out on that one thing that there's also like, I would like to see also more of this. I would like to know, like, you know, there's a place for me because of this thing. And obviously we're never going to cover everybody, so it's more about people who don't fit into what they are seeing by whatever standard that is personal to them, saying, okay, since it's not out there, I will be the one to embrace being that, and rather, you know, that's, you know, skin color, I don't know, being plus size, because the thing about, like, being plus size, even if you want to change it, like, the journey is long. I am fully committed to this taking 2 or 3 years, like, to get to my ideal body type. I am in no rush. I am not suffering from debilitating health problems right now, and the fact that I am exercising and changing my diet is already staving off a lot of the problems associated with obesity. So pending nothing major happens, it really does, assuming I don't die in the next 2 to 3 years from, like, getting hit by a car or mauled by a bear, I don't know, I'm just making up stuff, assuming something freaky like that doesn't happen, I have no health concerns where it's like, I need to get off this weight tomorrow. I am fine with being a plus size person on a journey for 2 years, 3 years, whatever. There is no rush. I have nothing to prove to anybody. This is not The Biggest Loser. I do not need to lose 100 pounds in 3 weeks. Like that's not what this is. So I think, like, embracing, okay, I'm not seeing this. I will be the person who is representing this. And I always think that's okay. Like, there is a stigma, I think, against, for lack of a better term, static van dwellers. But Maddie Van Halen is out there. Static camper van is out there. So there are people said, okay, this isn't the popular image, but guess what? I got a day job and I live in my van, and when I can travel, I do. I'm not a digital nomad, free traveling, you know, all the time. This is how I get to have my van life while not losing my stable job. And I was always happy to see that, because when I first got into van life, that was a big deal to me, even more than seeing other women, even more than seeing other, you know, black van dwellers, even more than anything. It was like, I wanted to see people who, you know, had a day job, didn't have the fantasy I can go anywhere job, and were still having positive experiences in van life. That evolved to, I did want to see other women. I did want to see other, like, whatever is applicable to me, you know, be that queer people, black people, plus size people, but also you can just say, you know what, since I'm not seeing that, I'll become that, you know. And sometimes that's the decision. Okay, I'm not seeing it, I'm gonna add to van life so that I'm representing the thing that I'm not seeing. I'm going on a rant again, but, like, it was like when I was in college and I was taking writing classes, and they were like, write the story that you are not seeing that you would like to see. Like, be responsible for creating it. And that was kind of the mindset I was in when I started the channel. It was like, okay, there are things I'm not seeing in van life that I represent, so I'll at least add myself to the pot, even if I never do that well. Because that was my whole thought. I was like, I'm not going to do that well, but I at least want to be out there so that people see, like, people living in a van and, like, having a day job and being decent citizens and not leaving trash on the side of the road. Okay, that was a rant. Sorry, I went off. Laura Kramer. So we're going back to safety. This is such a rambly live. I hope you guys aren't hating it. Laura Kramer says, vehicle maintenance is the only concern I do have. That's always my biggest concern, is, like, keeping the engine running. Because everything else can be fixed, or you can live with it. People who live in a van should take time to learn basic vehicle maintenance. This is from Mike. That is an ideal situation. It's fair to say you should be aware of vehicle maintenance, but nobody expects people to change the plumbing in their own house. Obviously, people want to avoid being scammed by the people who are experts in their field, be it the guy who's like, doing their plumbing or their electrical work in their house. But I think there's this expectation in van life that everybody should be a mechanic. And I think that's wrong. I think it's perfectly okay not to be a mechanic. But that is not saying it's okay not to be, you should be ignorant. But it's okay to make the choice. And I get frustrated when people act like it's not. It's okay to make the choice to say, I don't want to do my own oil change. Like, I just don't want to. I don't want to lift up the car, if that's a concern. I don't want to have to get under the car. I don't feel comfortable doing it. I'd rather go to a place where they have a lift, they can do it efficiently, and I don't have to think about it. And I will save money another way because I'd rather somebody else do that. And I think, like, that is fair. And I think too often we act like somebody is less because they don't want to get under the hood and work on their own vehicle. I do think you should be educated about vehicle maintenance, and that's something I'm actively trying to do. But that does not mean you want to do your own work. It means like you are trying to avoid being scammed. You want to make sure you have a good perspective on what's needed and not needed. But it's funny to me that people aren't critical of people in houses choosing to hire maintenance people, but they're highly critical of people in vehicles, especially when it's their home, saying, I would rather have an expert take care of that. Like, you would save money on your house too if you did all your own work, like your sticks and bricks house. But most people choose not to because they feel it's safer to hire the people who have a very specific skill set in what they do. And we seem to be less critical about it with sticks and bricks houses than we are with vehicle houses, even though we have this whole line about, like, it is your house. So yeah, I find that a little bit interesting. I just keep going off on these rants, man. Being aware of your surroundings is probably the most important thing you can do for safety. I had issues with my van not starting in the middle of nowhere, and because I knew the trick about hitting the starter, I was able to get it going and get on my way. Like, that's fair. That's why I said, like, being educated about a vehicle and wanting to work on it all the time or do every repair yourself are just two different things. And my only thing is, like, I think people are way too judgmental about people who are, like, electively speaking, I would rather not. Hi Dawn, Spay the Bay in Berkeley has a low cost. I know about Spay the Bay in Berkeley. Good luck getting them on the phone. I have filled out their form at least 4 times, which they tell you not to do. And then they emailed me and was like, if you're still interested, let us know. And I replied back in the email, I am still interested. This is my cat's information, and I have not heard from them again. COVID. It doesn't matter that they exist. It's actually communicating with them and getting an appointment because everybody's backed up for months. It's not about the existence. I have looked in Berkeley. I have looked in Oakland. I have looked at the peninsula. In fact, I just sent an email into the peninsula recently. I've looked in San Jose. I've looked in Sacramento. Like, it is not about finding the program. It's about actually getting an appointment. And those are two different things. Life is says, do you ever think about break-ins, especially in really remote areas? So life is, as far as like break-ins, honestly, the more remote I am, and in this case, I'm talking about boondocking, the less I am worried about break-ins. As crazy as that sounds, but the thing is, like, if you are literally, like, really in the middle of the desert alone, like, it is dark at night. It is not like the city. Like, it is pitch black dark. Your biggest threat is not human beings. It's animals that are like, oh, it's night and quiet, I'm gonna go investigate and see if there's food over here. So your threat in that situation is like knowing the wildlife, which I am not good at. That is your threat, your highest threat in that situation. Now, if you're at a populated campground, the good thing is there are other people. The bad thing is there are other people, and other people are opportunists. And they're like, oh, that thing's sitting there. And that's when they will, you went on a hike and left your van behind. And in my case, let's say I left my bike outside. Now there's an opportunity for my bike to get stolen. If I'm really remote where nobody is around, like, it is pitch black. Like, I don't like to be away from my van at night because it's too hard to, like, your vehicle will disappear and you will be 10 feet from it. Unless, like, you have lights on your van or something like to light up your van. Like, it will disappear at night because it's not like the city where you have, like, street lights and all this other kind of stuff. So the biggest danger to a break-in is not when I'm remote, and by remote, I mean boondocking. The biggest threat of a break-in is actually in the city, because these are normally crimes of opportunity. Whereas as you start to get remote, as you get away from the city, your biggest threat is not other humans, it's animals, it's wildlife, it's even things like mice. Like, honestly, I've never had a mouse in the city. I'm sure somebody has, but I've never had a mouse in the city. I've never had a rat. I have heard that might be an issue in the city, especially some bigger cities really have trash problems, and so they have rat problems. Like, I've never had any of that. I've had no mice, and I've never, like, I guess, been anywhere long enough that it happened. It just never happened to me. People who boondock more frequently tend to negotiate that problem a lot more frequently. And so even that as wildlife, like, animals to me, this is my personal opinion, become a threat as you get further away. People become a threat as you are closer to them. And that's not to say all people are bad. There's plenty of good people. And I personally, even when other people have been around me in campsite situations, have not experienced anything negative, even when I left stuff out. So yeah, that's my spiel on that. No, people are not what I worry about when I'm remote. Animals are what I worry about when I'm remote. Or natural disasters. People are what I'm worried about in, like, this type of situation. I just don't worry about it that much, though. I mean, all I can do is set my alarm at night and, like, go to bed. The van is alarmed. If somebody pulls on it, an alarm will go off. Topic ideas for the WRTR, vehicle maintenance, changing tires is part of, like, just knowing your vehicle. Knowing how to change a tire, I think, is important and is sometimes overlooked. Personal defense, surrounding awareness, which everybody has talked about. What to do if you hear noises outside of your van, how to choose a safe location, which I think is, like, a good topic, and solo camping. The other lady who's talking about safety is more of a boondocker, so I think, like, she's going to be covering more subjects related to, like, boondocking, and I'm more there to give sort of the city van life perspective, especially since I've done that the most. Jennifer says, I hope you're warm enough when you're sleeping. It's actually been really nice back here in Berkeley as far as, like, temperature goes. Like, the other day it was, like, so nice. Like, I even heard a guy, because I was at the marina, he was like, man, this is like a summer day. Yeah, it's been really nice. Laura says, I'm in a power chair. Go you. And I'm just saying that because you're not letting it stop you. Sorry. And I'm in a power chair. Sorry. From breaking my back. I'd love to meet Dawn and get some encouragement. Don't let it hold you back. I'm just waiting to get my ProMaster back. And like I said, whatever your situation, like, okay, how can I make this work? Like, all you can do is make a choice to proceed towards your dream. And also, a lot of people are so caught up in making that dream perfect. Hopefully my friend doesn't get too mad at me. But a friend of mine recently bought a van. And so she had this exact plan It's a really nice van. I'm jealous of her van. But she bought a van and she wants to build it out and like she wants to get on the road. And I think in her mind she has like this perfect vision of like this van and it's going to be like awesome. And you know, the build has been going slower than she anticipated due to a number of things. The holiday happened. There's been some other things. I'm not going to tell all her business. It'd be funny if she was on here, but I doubt it. I think that did become a little discouraging at some point because, like, it was like she had watched all the videos and, you know, when you watch a build in a video, it takes like what? The course of the video, it's a time lapse. It takes like 2 days. But the fact is, unless one, you're willing to just throw a sleeping bag in there and a camping cot and a cooler and just go, van builds usually take longer than you think. But that is okay. Like, if you have the time and that's what you want to do and your priority is like having the nicest van you can have, take your time and work towards your dream in the way that it can work. If your priority is like, I'd rather prioritize traveling more than having the perfect van before I travel, that is okay as well. Sometimes there's these like black and white choices and there's a lot of gray choices. And so like, you just can't let whatever's in the way stop you. It's like, how can I work around it? I'm in a power chair. Okay, I have specific needs, so I need like a van that's going to accommodate this needs. You know what? I'm a bigger person. I need to feel like I have enough room. I need to feel like my bed is comfortable. That is okay. Like, even if you're working on like losing weight or like you're in a power chair or like whatever it is, or your partner's not into travel, like if you want to do it, just figure it out and take a first step and then just keep moving towards it. Yeah. Not sure if Des is in chat. Oh, Des, the hobo traveling nurse. Yeah, her mom got a COVID designation. Amanda, that's so sweet you thought of her. Did I miss something? Freedom Dove says, my fridge will always run off my Jackery. I like my fridge running off. The Jackery does way better running the fridge. Katie with a C. My cat Princess and I are watching from New York City. 10:04 p.m. Wow, I'm honored you're up at 10 o'clock watching me. Cheryl says, I don't have a Jackery or anything in my van. Talk about old-fashioned stealth van life. I don't think the Jackery has anything to do with stealth. It's in the van. Like, it's just a box in the van. I had a little power station when I first got into my car. I didn't have a fridge. The power station was just for like my cell phone, you know, my laptop at the time. It was just for little stuff that I needed to keep powered. I don't think a Jackery really has anything to do with stealth. I mean, unless you're talking about the solar panels, which has really nothing to do with the Jackery. Where's that cat? I don't know where he went. He's like, you're ignoring me. Is your van 4-wheel drive? If not, get a limited slip-in rear axle and a good set of tires, and it will be much safer off-road. Thank you. It is actually rear wheel drive. Why can't I say that? It's rear wheel drive. Go to Harbor Freight, and the Predator 2000 is $4.99 and really quiet. Where are people finding these Harbor Freights? I feel like everybody like casually runs across Harbor Freight because I hear about it all the time. And I know I can look it up on Google. It's not that I can't find a Harbor Freight, but I feel like I never casually see Harbor Freight. Like, I feel like it's something I need to seek out. Because people seem to talk about Harbor Freight like they just run across it all the time. Like, yeah, I was just in the Harbor Freight. It's just a really popular store that I have never seen by accident, apparently, because it comes up a lot. Paper Bag Nomad says, iOverlander does offer reviews on the app. I always review those before heading to a spot, but good to find a spot in a pinch. Paper Bag Nomad, yes, but you also need to look at how long ago that review was left, because like I said, when they were there, And I think you're right. Like, review the reviews, but also look at the date the review was left. Because when I went, 8 months since anybody's tried that spot, things may have changed. Some idiot might have been there like 2 weeks ago, and they were like, nope, we're not doing this anymore. We're kicking everybody out. Yeah. Cheryl says, I need tires first before anything. Next, I will start slowly buying power sources for my van. I agree. Like, if there's something like mechanical or something that's going to keep the van running, a van that doesn't move isn't any use to you. So do that first. Spirit and Truth says, Cracker Barrel is the best when interstate traveling. I still have not stayed at a Cracker Barrel. I've heard that tip, but I just haven't stayed at one. But it's one of those things I keep in my mind. Cracker Barrel, Walmart, maybe. I really like rest stops and truck stops, just because they tend to be like really reliable, especially if you're just staying overnight and moving on in the morning. They're my most reliable go-to is rest stops and truck stops. But Cracker Barrel, yeah. That's another good one. I hear about that a lot. I personally haven't stayed at one. Deborah, thank you. I'll go check PayPal after this. Thank you so much. Obviously, because also, like, it's just faster. Have you tried Campendium? Is Campendium paid? I've heard about it, but I haven't tried it. I didn't know if that was, like, more for RVers. I don't really know much about Campendium. South Cowgirl 504. Will you always be a van life, or do you plan on moving to a home at some point? I right now only want a bigger van. I personally have no interest in moving into a house. And my whole thing is I spent the first 37 years of my life in one city. I never traveled. I never really went that far. I went a couple places for work, but when you go somewhere for work, like, it's like, okay, we're going to Virginia. I was working for a sandwich shop at the time to open the store. So you go to Virginia, they pay for your room, which is great, but it's like you're there to work. So Monday through Friday, like, you're showing up, you're helping open the store, you're going home at night and going to sleep. So you're not really experiencing the joy of travel. And like I said, I never went that far from Maryland for the first 37 years of my life. And then, I came to Berkeley for an internship. Yes, at 38. I didn't graduate college till I was 33. Long story. So I graduated college later in life, and I came to Berkeley for an internship. And then after that, I started getting jobs here. And so then I was just kind of in Berkeley. Like, I went to LA a couple of times and stuff. But it's like, I have not seen more of the United States. I mean, forget the world. I have not seen more of the United States, or I've not seen enough of the United States to feel like I want to live in this place and stay there. And you have to know where you want to live before you're like, I want a house here or an apartment here or something like that. Right now, I still want to see stuff. Right now, I'm sad that I have a job that's not letting me just go out and travel right now. And I'm saying that like I have to go to a 9-to-5 tomorrow, but it's more like dates are coming up where I know I can't really go that far. And so it's not really worth it to do anything except do what I call the city float. So right now, no, I don't want a house. Now, what I am becoming interested in is having like a temporary base, possibly just like a lot or a driveway that I could rent, and have like a little shed. And that's just so I can carry less stuff with me, or if I need downtime for a job, that's a secure place just to hold down until like business is over and then I can go travel. But I would want to rent it. I don't want to own a house. I don't have a family. I don't have a partner. I don't really see the point. Like, I don't know what a house would give me. Now, like I said, I am at the point where I was like, it would be nice to know I had a spot. So like, if, things went down and I just needed to be still somewhere for a while, either to work on the van or like store a bunch of stuff I don't want to be dragging around with me and not have it be a storage unit. I don't want it to be a storage unit because I want a situation where like, all right, I'll just load it back up in the van. We, end our month-to-month agreement or whatever it is, and then I'll move on. But I have no interest in like owning. I don't even want to own land. Like I said, I would rather rent like a little spot, for as long as it's going to work out. And then when it stops working out, we shake hands and I move on. But right now, no, I'm not interested in a house. I'm not even looking for it. I want a bigger vehicle. In fact, I have my dream vehicle in my head. I want something I can stand up in. That's pretty much it. I want something I could stand up in. Freedom Dove, thank you for sending that welcome to new subscribers. Someone made a recommendation of a Bay Area vet. I don't think it was a Bay Area vet. It was the Humane Society in Berkeley, which, like I said, is just like everybody else. They're backed up. B. Joe, good night. I need to get off here, too. I'm just trying to make sure I get through the comments. Yes, Spay the Bay is backed up. You cannot get an appointment. This keeps coming up. I have gone to Spay the Bay. Well, I've gone to their website. You can't go in their building. Gia Nichols says, Southern California here. Love your spirit and your motivation. Thank you so much. Granny Peacock says, have you tried pause? I have not. I'll look that up. Sin, is that how you pronounce it? CYN. Dawn, is there an urgent need to neuter Mickey ASAP? Is he misbehaving or spraying? Mickey is acting like Mickey. Nothing about his behavior has changed. He's just acting like he always acts. So he is not spraying. But that seems to be a high concern for anybody else. He's literally never gone outside his box. Like, he had some poop that missed the box the other day, but I think it's because, like, I took too long to clean it out, and so the box was kind of, like, not in the best shape, and I freshened the whole box and like haven't had a problem since. So literally he's never gone outside his box, like, ever, from the day I've owned him. So no, he's not spraying. We have no current problems, but everybody seems to think like it's inevitable if I don't get him spayed very soon. But right now, like, no, there's no problems. He goes in his box. I clean his box every day. Freedom Dove, I'm just going to generally action this. He says, even with the vaccines, these diseases haven't gone away. So just to address the COVID thing, I have no control over government regulations. So, like, however you feel about, like, your personal thing, the whole thing is, at the end of the day, it's still affecting sort of what resources people have access to. And obviously it varies by state to state. So in the case of the Mickey thing, it's just that, a business has to really be aware of state guidelines. And so, like, I don't know if this is related to the spay neuter thing that I keep bringing up. They have to be very careful, because otherwise they could get in trouble. And so they have to be even more protective of themselves, than anything else. Yeah. Brooklyn asks, how did you get the drone back? I missed it. If you go to my community page or you follow me on Instagram, there's a whole video on it. Laura, I'm not gonna read the whole comment, but that is funny. Overly pampered because spoiled things get thrown away. Would vet schools, I'm seeing all the comments about vet schools, but are they even open? Because if it's a school, I would imagine they also would have regulation problems. Like, I can't even physically go into the vet, even the private vets. Can you show sometime how you wrap your hair? This is just a do-rag. And I don't know how many people are familiar with what a do-rag is. And this is just to keep off. My hair always looks so funny under here. So, like, it just has a little, like, hat part. And then this little tail. And then, like, these long things. So, I just put it over my head like this. And then I tuck all of my locks under there. I bring it around this way. Tie it in the front. Tie it in the back. And then I take the tail and I just pull it tight. And make sure all, like, the locks are tucked. Because the main thing is just keeping hair out of my face. Hair out of my face. And free my ears. That's it. I don't know. Laura says, Dawn, did you see my comment to turn the tent around so the awning is between the van doors and the van opening like a breezeway? I did. Here's the thing about the tent. I made the decision I made based on the campsite. So more than likely, I will change how I set up that tent every single time I pull it out. You know, based on the campsite, my priorities at the time. Like, there is no permanent configuration for that. I was wondering why there were red lights outside. It's just another car. There's no permanent configuration. It just happened to be at that campsite. One, that picnic table was already there. And where I positioned the van is what I thought was the most ideal spot for solar. And then for the tent, I was honestly looking for stable ground. Like, I thought about a couple of different positions because the van wasn't going to move. I was happy with where the van was. So then it became like, where do I want the tent to go so I can actually use it the way I want to use it? If the picnic table hadn't been beside my double doors, I would have put it on that side. But the other decision was also based on how flat is the ground, especially since I knew I was going to try to use it for exercise. So my bigger priority was, you know, what's the best position for the flattest ground? And it was hard. You can't tell on video, but the ground was a little bit more bumpy at everywhere else. And so I put the tent where it was most ideal for me to have the flattest ground. Especially since I was going to be using it as a gym space. And so that was my priority. It will literally change depending on where I'm camped. And sort of like what that layout is. I don't think I'll do anything as the permanent only way I set it up. Joanna says, I used a spay neuter clinic to get my cat spayed at a reduced price, but they had limited spots available. It was pretty much first come, first serve. Was it during COVID? Because that's the thing. It's already like, obviously, everybody wants the cheaper price. That's always going to be the Humane Society or SPCA, you know, with some exceptions elsewhere. So, like, was it during COVID? Because the problem is, COVID tripled the problem. Yeah. I may have missed this, but how much did the Ozark tent cost? I paid around $100, but it was on sale, though. It was literally the only one on the shelf. I'm sure they still sell it, but at the Walmart I was at, it was the only one on a shelf, and it wasn't even the right shelf for the tent. And when I took it to the front, I was like, can you tell me how much this costs? So for me, it was like around $100, but it was on sale. See you ran all the time, never sure if it's okay to knock and say hi. I was walking my dog. But, oh, okay, so I know where you were. And thank you for not saying where you saw me. I don't mind people saying hello. it's shocking that I'm even spotted. But I'm always okay with somebody coming to say hello. This weekend, I probably would have been distracted because I was online for that summit all weekend. Julian, why did you have the opening of the tent facing away? Because there was a picnic table on the other side of the van. So where the van was, there was that picnic table, which, you know, really ruled my decision. For the ground I wanted for exercising, it was perfect. But like I said, that's not going to be my choice every time. It honestly wasn't that bad. It was kind of great. Sorry, going back to the tent position, which apparently everybody hated. I personally loved it because I don't like having Mickey underfoot in the tent when I'm exercising, just because I might not notice him, and I might do something where I might accidentally step on his tail. But what I did was I cracked the window over by like the kitchen area. And then I opened the windows in the tent. And so literally I could say his name and he would turn around and see me. So I know all you guys hated the position of the tent. I loved it. Like, it worked great. I was so sad when I broke that tent down. Yes, I keep switching trains of thought. I'm going through the comments, so I'm kind of just replying to what I see, and I'm probably like way behind you guys. Yeah, I think I'm like an hour behind, like, on comments as far as when they were posted. Liz, I'm just saying your comment about Bob Wells. Having met him in person about twice. I met him twice in 2018 because he did like a tour of my minivan in one of its very early stages. He is an introvert, and he does very well with sort of the people who are his speed. I think people also forget how old Bob Wells is. I mean, like, this, you know, he's an old guy. He's an old guy. He likes it a little bit like slower. He's a generally sweet, well-meaning person. I don't know if everybody would like hanging out with him. He's either your speed or he's not, but he's definitely always like a well-intentioned guy. Yeah, that was my impression of him. Like, not everybody's gonna feel the same way, but that was my feeling on Bob. And I don't even agree with Bob all the time, but as far as him as a human being, I think he's one of the nicer, more intentioned people I've met. I don't know if everybody would like hanging out with him, but yeah, you know, that's my opinion. Sean, thank you for the $20. It says NZ. I don't know what that means. But thank you for the super chat. I love your channel, Dawn. I love your enthusiasm and your love of people and animals. Thank you so much. Sorry if I'm like way behind on these. I'm kind of scrolling past some of these really quick because I think I've kind of addressed them or I've referenced it so long ago. That it seems irrelevant to talk about it now because I think I've probably touched on it. I'm reading, guys, so sorry if I got quiet. I know I'm like really behind the comments, so I'm just trying to see what I should jump on without being redundant because it happened a while ago. Oh, traveling with Mel and Alex. I'm assuming this isn't your age. It says I'm 4'10", my wife is 289, and we are living in an Astro van. I'm assuming those are pounds. That's what I'm saying. Like, make it like I was a big girl living in a minivan, and no offense, but I see these little teeny tiny women talking about, there's no way I can live in a van without like a queen size bed. And I'm like, I'm 3 times your size. I'm in a bed smaller than a twin in a minivan. Let me see. Amanda says, please do more live streams. This is amazing. I'll try. Oh, shoot. All right, I'm back. Sorry, guys. I think I'm like way... Get away. I might have missed some super chats. Chia. Sorry, hope I'm pronouncing it right. Thank you for the $15 super chat. Oh shoot, I'm all screwed up. All right, so now I'm at I might have missed some comments. Freedom Dove says my bed will be 23 inches wide, LOL. My beds were about 2 feet wide for like most of my van life. This is the widest bed I've had, and it's still twin size. Because twin is what, I think about 36 to 38 inches is a twin. And I was smaller than that for like almost 2 years. AB says, who's Bob? Bob Wells. I don't know if anybody he has a channel called Cheap RV Living. He's like this old guy who's a very big name in honestly the RV circle, which is weird because he lives in a van. But his channel is called Cheap RV Living. But I think when Bob named his channel Cheap RV Living, things were more together. I think like people make this distinction between like vans and RVs and schoolies in a way that's semi-current, and I mean semi-current like within like the last like 5 years or so. Before everybody was lumped together a little more, I think. JPX, how's the window fan working? I like them. I still love these fans. I don't know if I needed the one in the back. I think I would have been fine with just the one in the side and the flip fan that I have. I am probably going to end this live stream in the last 5 minutes. So, if you have anything you want to throw at me in the next 5 minutes, feel free to. I'm going to focus on the end of the comment section here, and I know I missed stuff, so forgive me. But yeah, I'm going to focus on the end of the live stream here, so I'm kind of caught up to current time. Scrap Info says, are you cooking more in the van? I've been cooking more in the van for a while, but that depends on what you call cooking. I wasn't a cook in a house. So if you mean heating stuff up and trying to do stuff that only takes 1 or 2 steps, yes. I just don't videotape it a lot because I don't consider my cooking that interesting, and I'm not really into cooking, but I know a lot of other people are interested in it. Freedom Dove says, Bob has been living in a van for 20 plus years. And also, like, I think people forget about Bob Wells is, like, he was forced into his situation. So the fact that I relate to Bob Wells' story because his story is so like mine. I mean, I wasn't married. He was divorced, and he started living in a van in Alaska. In freaking Alaska, so that he could be near his kids. Obviously, his kids are all grown now. And he found something he loved in that. And that part of his story I really relate to. So I think people forget, like, Bob Wells started out forced into a situation and pretty much what we would define as homeless, and he flipped that into houselessness. And I think that's the most powerful, interesting thing about him. And the fact that he's trying to pay it forward and help people who are, like, in a desperate situation. I can forgive the fact that he may not be the coolest person to hang around a campfire with, depending on your personality. I personally had a good experience with him, so I have no issues with Bob. you know, I wasn't looking to make him my best friend anyway. I just thought his story was really, really interesting. Ellen says he's the granddaddy of nomads. Jen says, try sleeping with 2 big pups. They love snuggling. That means no room in the bed. But I bet those 2 big pups are warm. That's why I want a big dog when I eventually get a dog. Because I want a animal comforter. I don't care about the security thing. Everybody's like, get a dog for security. No, I want to cuddle with a giant animal, like heat source. That's going to be my new heat source in the van. Cheryl, what about romantic relationships for you? I don't care. You know, like, it's not something I'm concentrated on. If somebody shows up and we connect, that would be great. But I'm not looking for a girlfriend. Ooh, surprise for anybody who's new, I'm a lesbian. I'm not looking for a girlfriend. I'm not looking for a wife. If that happens, like, on its own, great. If it doesn't, all right. It wasn't meant for me. Like, I am enjoying my life so much. I am happy. I have friends I am close to. I have people who I consider important to me, and I'm looking forward to what happens next. If romance or a romantic relationship comes my way, great. If it doesn't, yeah, I'm not really worried about it. All right. Laura Kramer said, Instant Pot. Many blessings. I love my Instant Pot. Sin, thank you for the $10 super chat. Casey says, do you have email? Yes, it's usually in the description of my videos. It may not be in the description of this video because I might have to go back and edit that. But if you go to any of my other videos, you should find my email address. But I'm going to warn you, I am terrible about getting back to email. And that's just because there's just a lot going on in my inbox right now. South Cowgirl says, I cuddle with my 2 rescue Maine Coon cats. They keep me warm. Mickey's a horrible cuddler. He doesn't like to cuddle. Like, he wants to be near me, but he wants to be in control of it. And so if I try to be like, oh, fluffy buddy, he just runs, and then he like sleeps in the front seat. He's a horrible cuddler. He needs to control our interactions. Like, that's the rule. He's like, all right, I want attention now. Okay, I'm done. Bye. Which is just, he's a cat. How is Mickey doing with the fish? You know, he was really into that fish today. Like, all of a sudden today, I charged it up and I just put it on the floor to see if he would like change his thoughts about it. And he was into that fish. Like, he was kicking it, he was throwing it all over the place, and he did that for about 20 minutes, and then he was done. And then I just heard it like kind of kicking on the floor, until it decided that, you know, there hadn't been enough activity. So yeah. Becky Jo says Mickey is a typical man and wants to be in control of the cuddling. He should feel grateful as a man that he's in my... No, I'm kidding. I'm not going to go there. All right, I'm going to wrap this up. I did not expect this to go 2 hours, but I do want to make sure I have enough time to drive out of here and park for the night. And, you know, just have a good bedtime. I'm glad I got a chance to talk to you guys. I hope I did not miss any critical comments. Thank you for the super chats. Thank you for the conversation. Thank you for being interested in my channel. I'm just doing a quick... Yeah, I think somehow I lost some of the chat. I don't know why. It's not showing me the whole chat anymore. So if you sent a super chat and I did not say your name... Leah. I never know how to pronounce these. Thank you for the super chat. Just thank you so much, guys. It really means a lot to me. it's just all this. It means a lot to me. Night, night. I know it's really late for some of you guys, so we're going to go ahead and wrap this up if I can figure out how to. All right, let's see. All right, bye.